chapter 39. Knowest you the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst you mark when the hinds do calve? Canst you number the months that they fulfill? Or knowest you the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young, they cast out their fruit. The young ones wax strong, they grow up in the open field, and they go forth, and return not again. Who has sent out the wild ass free? Or who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the salt land his dwelling place. He scorneth the tumult of the city, neither heareth the shoutings of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searcheth after every green thing. Will the wild ox be willing to serve you, or will he abide by your crib? Canst you bind the wild ox with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after you? Wilt you trust him, because his strength is great? Or will you leave your labor to him? Wilt you rely on him, that he will bring home your seed, and gather the corn of your threshing floor? The wing of the ostrich beateth joyously, but are her pinions and feathers the kindly stork's? For she leaveth her eggs on the earth, and warmeth them in the dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may trample them. She is hardened against her young ones, as if they were not hers. Though her labor be in vain, she is without fear, because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. When the time comes, she raises her wings on high, and scorneth the horse and the rider. Have you given the horse his strength? Have you clothed his neck with fierceness? Have you made him to leap as a locust? The glory of his snorting is terrible. He paweth in the valley, and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth out to meet the clash of arms. He mocks at fear, and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth upon him, the glittering spear and the javelin. He swalloweth the ground with storm and rage, neither believeth he that it is the voice of the horn. As oft as he heareth the horn, he says, Ha, ha! And he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Doth the hawk soar by your wisdom, and stretch out her wings toward the south? Doth the vulture mount up at your command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the stronghold. From there she spieth out the prey. Her eyes behold it afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she. Let's go back up, verse 1. And we know in the last chapter the Lord did begin to speak, and he was speaking to Job out of the whirlwind, out of these whirlings of periods, these whirlings of understandings, these whirlings of time, this hot air that these others are blowing. And he wanted to know who was darkening counsel, who was bringing clouds or confusion into this place of understanding. And that would be Job's understanding. They ain't got no knowledge. They ain't got no understanding. And God says, I will give you some. Now gird up your loins, grab a hold of yourself, and prepare to declare, because God's going to ask you a few questions, and we'll see if you've got enough knowledge and understanding to answer these things. God wanted to know, where were you in the beginning? When God, on the first day, when God started doing his work, where were you? I mean, if you're so wise and so old and so great in your understandings, where were you at when he began to do his work? We'll find out. God knows all these things. It's in God's understanding that the answer to the unknown still lie. Understanding comes from God. I know some people think this is just a way of explaining those things we can't answer. But I believe that there is evidence, there's technology far older than our technology, and some technology we are just now managing to match or to copy that which was done in ancient times, that which some reason time sands blowed over it, times forgot it. See, because God has a way of doing that. That's the way God works. And we're a generation that's come forth. We're here for a few days, and we can't comprehend everything that's happened in the past, let alone what's going on now or what's going to happen tomorrow. But God says, where are you at when the Drought comes. Where are you at when the drought comes and the lions need fed and the little baby birds are wandering around without and crying out? They're crying out to God, crying out to the mighty one. Where are you at? We're going to pick it up. We're going to finish it. Continue here in verse 1. Knowest you the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth, or can you mark when the hinds do calve? Do you know what time or what period of time when the wild goats bring forth? Like they go up into the rocks and they bring forth their young, or when the deers or the wild cattle of the earth, when they do calve, when they bring forth their young? Do you have all the answers? Do you know why the seasons are there at that point in time? 2. Can you number the months that they fulfill, or know you the time when they bring forth? Do you know the number of months that all the animals carry their young? Do you have understanding of why that has that period of time? And we'll find that animals vary from time to time and period to period when they bring forth their young. In their own season do they bring them forth. 3. They bow themselves, they bring forth their young, they cast out their fruit. They bow themselves, they bend themselves. They bend themselves to the earth, and they bring forth their young. They cast out their fruit. The young is born. We don't see them screaming out, crying out, all in pain and in great agony from bringing forth their young. They do it, and 4, we'll find that God causes it. God's appointed it. 4, their young ones wax strong. They grow up in the open field, and they go forth and return not again. The young ones, they grow up. They grow up out in the open field. They don't got cities. They don't have towns and all this that man makes, that man builds. They just grow up out there in the open field, and they go forth on their own. See, instincts guide them. They just go forth out into the wilderness on their own, and they don't come back. See, they are grown. 5, who has sent out the wild ass free? Or who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Who sent out the wild ass free? Who set him free? Was he ever somebody's property? Was he ever somebody's that could be controlled? Who loosed the bands of wild asses? Whose were they? Who they belonged to? And who turned them loose? We'll find out that God made them. God set them, and they were free in the beginning, as all creatures were free, as all creatures are free. In the no matter what kind of that they are, we'll find out. We try to capture these creatures. We try to cage these creatures for some reason. Man does love to cage things up. But in the beginning, God did not make it so. He did not make the animals to be caged or to be mocked at. 6, whose house I made the wilderness, and the salt land his dwelling place, because God made the wilderness. That's the place where the words drive out for the animals. This is where the animals live, these salt lands, these lands the land that's covered in salt. It's under a period of rest or a period of purification. 7, he scorns the tumult of the city, neither hears he the shoutings of the driver. And we're still talking about the wild ass here, he scorns the tumult of the city. An ass is always that which usually is caused to carry a burden. He's usually a sign of a leader in old times would ride these asses, or a mule. But he scorns the tumult of the city, these things that are going on within the city. A city's a place that has a guard. A city's we could call it a community, but it's usually made of many communities. He scorns it. He hates the tumult of it, and that's all the commotion going on within it. Neither hears he the shoutings of the driver. He doesn't listen to what the driver has to say. These ones who are driving the sheep or the herds. 8, the range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. The range of the mountains, all the fields of the high places, these mountains, all the mountains, the plains, wherever he wants to go, He searches after every green thing because, see, God set him free in the beginning, and just like all the other animals, pointed him in his season, put him in his place, set him in his seat, and he's smart enough to stay there. 9. Will the wild ox be willing to serve you? Or will he abide by your crib? Well, the wild ox, that's not the ox. An ox is something that pulls, is something that we can harness, something we can cause to pull our weight, pull our load, pull this that we're trying to carry, or the cart, or what have you. But is the wild ox willing to serve you? Did he walk up and say, hey, let me grab that and pull that for you? Will he abide by your crib? Is he something you have to feed and take care of? Is he something you got to nurse along, stall up and feed? No, he will find out God provides for him, just like he does all the animals of the earth. See, that was God's work in the beginning. God made the animal. God made everything the animal would need. God made man. God made everything man would need. But we'll find out man likes to stray off. Man likes to do his own thing. Man likes to think he is so knowledgeable, and all he can do is tear up and destroy. 10. Can you bind the wild ox with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after you? Can you bind the wild ox? Can you go put a harness on him and put him under his band in the furrow with the plow behind him? Can you do that? Or can you harrow the valleys after you? Can you take him and go down through there and harrow the valleys? Make him follow you and drag the harrow? That's something to, and what it does is spreads out the plowed ground, and breaks up some of the clods. 11. Will you trust him because his strength is great, or wilt you leave your labor to him? Can you trust the wild ox just to go out and take care of your work because he's strong? I mean, he's got a lot of power and strength. Or will you leave your labor to him? Can you trust him just to go forth and do your work? Will he go out, get up in the morning and just go out and start plowing for you? 12. Will you rely on him, that he will bring home your seed and gather the corn of your threshing floor? Will you rely on him? Will he go out and gather up your seeds and bring that stuff in for you and put it in the barn? Will he take it out and thresh it for you? No, see, he won't do none of that. He is the wild ox. He ain't going to do none of your work. He could care less whether you live or die. That's the way you treat the wild ox. The wild ox has no more understanding than what God gave him. He does what God says. He brings forth what God says to bring forth. He gathers what the Lord says to gather. He's got his own instinct. See, and he stays in his instinct. And that's what we're talking about. God made instincts, and he put them in the animals and everything that's alive from the beginning. Man is the only one. He fights against his instinct. He goes against all his understanding. Tries to create his own. 13. The wing of the ostrich beats joyously, but are her pinions and feathers the kindly storks? The wing of the ostrich. The ostrich is a large bird. It's a flightless bird, and the wing of it is useless, but it's there. And her pinions, her feathers, they ain't like the kindly storks or the mighty stork that spreads her wings out. And some storks have a large wingspan, and they can soar. But no, that ain't the way the ostrich it is. We're going to compare the ostrich to the stork, the mighty flightless bird. Has long legs too, but it don't run. 14. For she leaves her eggs on the earth and warms them in the dust. Because the ostrich, she leaves her eggs in the earth, and we'll find that's exactly what the ostrich does. They leave them in the earth, and they are warmed by the dust and the sun. She doesn't sit her eggs. She doesn't make a nest and sit there on her eggs and guard them. 15. And forgets that foot may crush them, and the wild beast may trample them. She forgets that the foot may crush them. She She don't think about something coming along and crushing them, or the wild beast coming along and trampling on her eggs. She's only got the understanding God give her. 16. She is hardened against her young ones, as if they were not hers, though her labor be in vain. She is without fear. She's hardened against her young ones. I mean, she treats her eggs like they're not even her eggs. She got no understanding of these things. And though her labor be in vain, it's like useless. It's like a waste of time. She just lays her eggs there and dust and walks away and leaves them. Never thinks about them again. She's without fear. 17. Because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. She ain't got no fear of these things. She's got no understanding of these things. God didn't give it to her. God made her for a reason. God made her for an example. Why? Yeah, so God could use that. She has full faith, full trust. She's here. She's here. How'd she get here? If all is lost, if all is gone, if the wild beast is just going to come along and trample all the eggs and there ain't going to be no ostriches anymore, well, how do the ostrich survive then without any understanding, without any knowledge? See, just because God hath deprived her of her wisdom and her understanding, God looks over all those. There's no saying God looks over the ignorant. 18. When the time comes, she raises her wings on high and scorneth the horse and his rider. But when the time comes now, and it's time to get down to business, she raises up those little useless wings, and she scorns the horse and the rider. She will put the horse to shame. The ostrich is quite a fast runner. I believe speeds over 40 miles an hour. Have you, 19, have you given the horse his strength, or have you clothed his neck with the fierceness? Did you give the horse his strength? Where did the horse get all his muscles and strength at? How did he acquire all these abilities? Did you clothe his neck with this fierceness? The neck of the horse, that great, thick, powerful neck, and with just the fling of a horse's head, he could take a man and just throw him to the side like he's nothing. See, the power of his neck and his fierceness, his speed, and we're going to find 20. Have you made him to leap as a locust? The glory of his snorting is terrible. Did you make the horse where he could just jump like a locust, like a little grasshopper? He can leap and bound over things. Look at the deer. The deer does the same thing. They leap and just bound over things with their power. And even though the horse weighs 1,200 pounds, some of them, they have the ability to just bound like a locust. And the glory of his snorting is terrible. The sound when they snort and paw the ground, they showing off their great strength and challenging. See, it's terrible. They look fierce because of their size and their strength. 21. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He goes out to meet the clash of arms. Yeah, he paws in the valley. He shows off his strength. He shows off his great power. And he goes out to meet the clash of arms because, well, we'll find out when they go out to meet the clash of arms, they have a rider sitting upon them, and this is where they get their confidence. Because without it, the horse doesn't have any confidence. See, he's great, powerful, mighty, but they're a flight animal. And with the stomping of a foot and the waving of your arms, they'll run in nature. If anybody matches their challenge, they by nature just flee because they are a flight animal. But with the rider, see, we'll find out, with the rider they get confidence. It's not their own. 22. He mocks at fear and is not affrighted, neither turns he back from the sword. And he mocks at fear. He's not affrighted now. He has someone is sitting him, something else is commanding him, something else bringing him forth. He doesn't turn back from the sword. He doesn't know any better. 23. The quiver rattleth upon him, the glittering spear and the javelin. The quiver's rattling upon him. That's which holds the arrows. He's charging into battle. This glittering spear and the javelin. He's prepared for war. He has armed. And he doesn't know these things. These all belong to the rider, because by nature horses don't carry quivers, they don't carry spears, they don't carry javelins. 24. He swalloweth the ground with storm and rage, neither believeth he that he is the voice of the horn. And he charges into battle, and he swallows up the ground, running. It's in a storm of rage, power and might coming forth, but neither believes he that it is the voice of the horn. He doesn't know he's charging into battle. He has no understanding. He's getting his understanding from the rider. 25. As often as he hears, he says, ha ha, and he smells the battle afar off. And as often as he hears the horn, all he's going to do is relate it to the understanding of the rider. See, he has no great understanding of his own. All his power and all of his strength, all his abilities controlled by another. He hears the thunder of the captains and the shouting, and he knows what's coming. He's prepared his heart for it. He's prepared for the work that he does. 26. Does the hawk soar by your wisdom and stretch her wings toward the south? Does the hawk, it could be any bird of prey. And it's any bird of prey. These birds of prey, they soar by, do they soar by your wisdom? Is that why they're in the skies? Is that why they fly? And we'll find out. Spread their wings toward the south. That's that place where we can witness. We can see that dry, arid place where they search out. 27. Does the vulture mount up at your command and make her nest on high? Are you the one that appointed the vulture her place to build her nest? Does she mount up or take up at your command and fly and soar through the heavens? 28. She dwells and abides in the rock, upon the crag of the rock, in the stronghold. She lives there. See, she lives on the rock. She lives on that firm place, in that crack, at the stronghold, where they hide, where they build their nest, where that hiding place that's unreachable. 29. From there she spies out the prey. Her eyes behold it afar off. From there, though, she can see her prey, and the prey, we'll find out, it is the dead. That which she's looking for, the feed on the carcasses, and she spies out her prey from on high. Her eyes behold it afar off. She can see afar off. She give her vision. 30. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she. Her young ones, they also suck up blood, and the young, they feed on this that is dead. They also feed on that which is poured out upon the earth, and that's what the blood is here. Death, that which is slain. See, and where the slain are, there is she. And that's where we find the vultures. That's where we find the buzzards. They're feeding off the dead. Today we often see them on the sides of the road or people run over or something, and the buzzards clean it up. See, that's what God's saying. Did you set all this in order? Did you provide for everything? Did you set everything where it's provided for? Did you give it its instinct? Did you give it its understanding? Did you take its understanding away for certain things? See, God knows what everything is. And we'll find out. We just got here. We should take some of the understanding that we were given and try to apply it. It's like instinct. It's something we can hear. We can understand when we hear it that it makes sense. It means something. It has some kind of foundation in it. That's your instincts trying to relay to you, trying to tell you now that somehow this has something to do with your beginnings. We're talking about the law, the ordinances of God, and the commandments of God. Who put them within you? Where did they come from in the beginning? We'll find out. God did. God put them in your heart. God did these things just like he did for all the other things he created in life. He made a way, even in the beginning. We'll find out men would have you go another way, for there's no gain in that for them, seeing, and that's where they lay in wait, and they hide, and they want to take from you anything they can. But that's the ways of men. We don't, a lot of other animals don't do this. We're going to move forward. Chapter 40. Turn and return.